Oh, fuck, I forgot stream beats. Right when I start, I just like, shit.
Who needs music?
I need music.
We're doing it live.
We are doing it live. This is why it's embarrassing.
Doing it live. Well, hello chat. We're doing the cool book today. Are you excited? Can I see some cool emotes? Whichever one you want. There you go. I'm being a good stream host. Are you proud of me, Cameron? I've been practicing. Now Fredbo's just kind of sitting in our chat, not doing anything.
It said there was an error.
That's weird. I see. Looking at the chat's gonna be a minefield because Devin's here. To my knowledge, I don't think there's any mines in the book. I could be wrong.
That's a good point. Yes, actually, they added new traps and snares, so I'm sure.
Okay.
There's a
there we go.
line.
That'd be really cool.
Anywho, besides that awkward intro,
what?
welcome.
That was natural and normal.
Completely. At least the only people here know already how bad I am, so it's all good. But welcome to Table Talk. We're going to be talking about some really fun stuff today. But first, I want to mention Bad Luck Gamer has officially hit 100 subscribers. We're actually at 104 right now. It happened sometime yesterday when I was reading the Guns and Gears book. It took me all day to read the book, like, enough to comprehensively know what's in it. So I haven't prepped the video yet. There'll be a 100 subscriber video. Coming up along with my manic description of Guns and Gears as I try to fit a whole book into 20 minutes. I may pass out. There may be it might be an hour-long video where just 40 minutes of it is me passed out on the floor.
I mean,
if that does happen, I will keep it in.
I still think a pretty good idea, or at least if you do this, it might be really fun for some of the books. Like, let's make it a top 10 list. All these YouTube people, they like their top 10s. They like their watch mojos. Say top 10 coolest things in this book. Could be a really easy way to do it.
I mean, I need people want to know like what's in the book, and a top 10 is okay. I think a top 10 can come later, but
probably
more people are likely to click on it if they think they're getting exactly what's in the book. They're not going to be expecting me talking breathlessly for 20 minutes about every little thing in the book.
Yeah.
Just manically flailing around, and they'll be too entranced to click off the video. Hello, Rylan. But, yeah, so, that's coming up probably this Saturday, unless I get really crazy with the editing. It might come on Sunday. I really don't want to work into my weekend, but, you know, we'll have to see. Also, we've now had our second video break the 500 view list and has now further supplanted the Town of Salem video. It's slowly going away. Soon that video will be just nothing but a bad memory.
Hopefully. I mean, down the line, like a year in, I'll put that video on repeat and boost it up a bit, you know?
Don't.
I wouldn't.
But, anyway, that being said, let's go ahead and get into what we're talking about today, which is Guns and Gears. Holy shit, is this such a good book? I'm just gonna rant for like a minute or two about how good this book is. Also, for those in the chat, please let me know if that blue text is easy enough to read or not. I'm trying to have a good like universal text. I don't want to like reprogram another chat thing. So if I can just get a good color text that works on like light color and dark color backgrounds, that'd be really good. But, well, you prefer the blue text? Even better.
It makes it like the stream on night mode, which I prefer.
It does. It's a lot chiller, yeah. I agree. But, yeah, so this book is really, really good. I think Pathfinder's already been a really good system, but up until this point, Pathfinder always felt like generic D&D fantasy, in a sense. It had all the same hallmarks. I think Pathfinder has more interesting lore than D&D does standardly. They have so many interesting aspects, like the Hell Knights are a really good example of just something that's in the world that's really interesting, and it's a lot more of an interesting order than like Dungeons and Dragons ever came out with. Like, the most interesting thing Dungeons and Dragons came out with, D&D, I'll just say D&D, I'm dumb, is, like, the Harpers. And even if you haven't read the books, you don't even know what the Harpers are, really, so...
Yeah. It's also not a very striking name. If you're just approaching me, like, which order do you want to join? The Harpers or the Hell Knights? There's a very clear option. Like, a very clear one where I'm like, well, I want to know what that is.
Yeah, exactly. But Guns and Gears adds a level of sci-fi steampunky like tech goodness that I feel really enhances the world rather than feels like an odd part of it. The setting, I think I'm glad that they've kind of taken a little bit of a they've gotten a little easier on guns than prior systems have before, where guns used to be like almost just useless. And guns feel a lot better in this system. And I love steampunk. Steampunk's actually my only preferred type of sci-fi.
Huh.
Because steampunk is always like a mix of interesting like tech stuff with a mix of like occultism. Like, if you ever get real deep into actual steampunk stuff only works because there's some, like, occultic thing to it, but it's always layered with science over the top. So I actually really, really like steampunk, and Guns and Gears, perfect. It's just, mwah. They have just a little bit of everything. I also am glad that guns are not too strong so that they don't overtake everything in the game.
Yeah,
I think
that's what I was
they're really balanced, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But this also adds vehicles. This adds new traps. This expanded the world lore. I already knew that some of the world all had guns in it, but this actually expanded the world lore. Also, for the first time in 2nd edition, we got a actual like large map of Arcadia, which is another continent in Galarian, in a place where you get one of the coolest things in this book, which are beast guns.
Yeah, beast guns are interesting. Like,
but we're not going to talk about beast guns quite yet.
Yeah.
We're going to save that a little bit later. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Beast guns are really, really sick. But let's go ahead and talk about guns, because I think that's the one thing everyone was most excited for this book. Because everyone wants a gun.
Yes, you're completely right. Like, the best thing in fantasy is introducing guns. They're always super fun. The characters that have the guns are always really cool. It's very interesting, and I think they handled them very well here.
Actually, you know, I don't think. Nah, I'm gonna pull up the actual PDF for the gun stuff.
Yeah, I have the book open.
Well, Archive of Nethys is really good, but equipment's kind of the one place where I think I want the PDF open for this.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to read. It's just a single page. So
Sorry, trying to figure out my setup. Yeah, okay. So guns, right? They're the marvel of the technological age. They in our world at least by far past any other kinds of weapons to date. Though I do want to say guns don't necessarily do more damage per shot than like a sword does. Guns just do it at a range. You can't dodge them. And their punching power is just insane, so it goes through armor. Like that's what made guns really big.
yeah.
It's not that they did more damage than like actual swords or maces. You take a sword to the chest, it's gonna suck a bit more than a bullet. The difference is guns just... You could also shoot more bullets in a second nowadays than you could a sword. So, you know, like, guns are superior. But in this game, a lot of the guns are kind of a step between musket loading and semi-auto. And yes, actually, Relin, you're exactly right. Oh, yes, if you want the page number, I'm hopping to page 151, if you want to know where we're at right now. Because we're going to be talking about the gun section here. And you can also go to Archive of Nethys and look any of this information up. I'm actually not supposed to show, like, full pages. Because this is, you know, you have to buy the book, honestly. I could do, like, a clip section, but man, I don't want to go through all the extra. But, so, guns are like crossbows in mechanics. Most guns you fire once, and then you have to take an action to reload before you can fire again. Some guns have a magazine, which can hold between 6 and 8 bullets between the two magazine guns. And for those, reloading the magazine is 3 actions.
Understandable.
So, while some guns give you, like, that option of, you know, kind of like the bolt action, other guns allow you to fire for a few, you know, rounds unimpeded, and then, you know, reload. There are some very few guns that do have, like, a reload of 2. The Fire Lance is a good example of that, which is a very weird weapon to me, personally. But, yeah, the Fire Lance is honestly just not that great of a weapon. It has a high fatal, though.
It's interesting. I do like the idea of a just a gunpowder javelin. That is very fun.
Yeah. But, so they reload pretty much every time you shoot them. Their damage is lower than I was expecting, but I actually think that this is a really good thing. And I'll kind of explain why. The average gun damage is a D6. There are some that go to D4. The magazine guns do a D4. And there's some that go to a D8. And there's some that even go up to a D10. But we actually want to look at the D6 guns, because that's where the money is as far as guns, in my opinion. So the reason why guns have less damage is 2 traits that almost every gun has: concussive and fatal. Now, concussive is new, I think. It might be new. Yeah, I think it's new to this book.
I've certainly never seen the tag in any other piece of equipment.
What concussive means is, even though your rounds predominantly do piercing damage, they count as both piercing and bludgeoning for resistances. So, if a creature has a high resistance in one but not the other, you use the lesser or no resistance for a bullet.
Yeah, it's super cool, and like at least some of the guns that have it have which there's actually a decent amount of guns on here that do have that concussive trait.
It's the common trait.
Yeah, I was about to say it's like mainly shotguns, but no, it's most of them. It's quicker to count which guns don't have it than the ones that do.
It is, yeah. So bullets have a higher punching power, and you're actually less likely to find a creature that has resistance to both. You're more likely to run into creatures that have just physical resistance than you have running into creatures that have actual resistance to both. Actually, a really good example are skeletons. Skeletons very standardly have like resistance 5 to piercing damage and slashing damage.
Yeah.
But your bullets will punch right through skeletons due to the concussive force. The next thing, and this is where I think guns could be a problem, and also the fact that guns are very interesting, why I really like guns, is Fatal. Fatal is such a good trait. So what Fatal does, and it's different from Deadly, when you crit with a firearm, you upgrade its damage to the Fatal die type, and then you add an extra die on top of it that gets multiplied, unlike Deadly, that just adds an extra die onto your crit damage. So most guns...
As well, you can actually take... it looks like it might be just an action, or at least just stated. You can, if you aim with both hands, and like wield it with a two-handed, it will use the Fatal dice. It's doing the Fatal aim, like
oh,
action.
yeah, the Fatal aim. Yeah, the weapon has to have the two-handed trait for that wave.
I think it just says if it has a Fatal aim. Oh yeah, I guess it is a separate thing. Fatal and Fatal aim.
Oh, no. So when you are wielding the weapon in two hands, it gains the Fatal trait with the listed damage die. Holding the weapon underarm stable enough to fire is significantly more complicated than just releasing one hand. Blah blah blah. So Fatal aim.
Oh! Someone in the chat pointed out it's actually, it doesn't just upgrade the dice type. You get to double it, I guess.
One second here. New rules. Nope. In fact, it does say Fatal. The trait for Fatal specifies on a critical hit, the weapon's damage die increases to the die size into the Fatal die size instead of the normal die size, and the weapon adds one additional damage die of the listed size. So it does get doubled with a crit.
Oh, okay.
Unlike Deadly, which specifies it gets added after the crit.
Interesting.
Let's see here. Yeah. Okay, so Fatal Aim mentions... It doesn't use its Fatal die type to attack with. It's just, if a weapon has Fatal and it uses two hands, you have to use two hands to wield it. It's really weird. They should put like an asterisk next to the hands part. But you can technically wield two-handed firearms with one hand, as long as that other hand does not have anything in it, pretty much. So anyway, And yeah, sure, and Prophet, if you can mention it. I think you're mixing that up with Deadly. I'm like almost 100% sure. Yeah, it says roll this after doubling the weapon's damage dice. You can even look under the specific roll for criticals. Sorry, double damage. Oh, hey, no, you know what? You are right. Here it is right here in doubling damage. Benefits you gain specifically from a critical hit, like a flaming weapon's rune's persistent fire damage, or the extra damage die from the fatal weapon trait aren't doubled. So hey, we did learn something.
Ooh, hell yeah. That's really cool.
I mean, that's it's less damage, but you know, whatever.
Eh.
It is mentioned in the rules, so you were right, in Prophet. Good job. I love having people that tell me the rules because I learn new rules all the time.
It's handy.
I'm not one of those people who get upset when you correct me on my ruling. I'll defend my position until I'm proven otherwise. But it does state it. I don't know why it doesn't state it in Fatal like it does for Deadly. Because, it's just like a weird like thing in ruling. Anyway. We got way off topic speaking on rulings, but it's a good clarification to make. So, guns have fatal. Most guns have a fatal D10 on average. Some have a fatal D8, others have a fatal D12.
Yeah.
Like the... Oh, okay, no. So the whole one-hand, two-hand thing is only for weapons with the fatal aim trait.
Yeah, I'm realizing that is very close. I feel like there could have been maybe another name.
Yeah, I honestly, I think they just... I love Paizo, I really do. Some of the rules are really bad. I'm going to go over one today when we talk about Inventor that's so wordy and gobbledygook that does not get to the point, and it's going to be terrible. But,
I'm excited
so this is why I think guns might be a problem, right? The gunslinger is expert starting out in simple and martial firearms. So they already are ahead of the curve, having a +2 bonus at their level, more than usual.
Also, just a right off the bat +1 circumstance to damage rolls for guns. Like, right away. Just, it's 1 extra damage, but that's an extra, like point of damage. Just if you're using a gun or crossbow.
For the gunslinger, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So, when you crit with these guns, their damage upgrades to some of the highest types of damage for weapons in the game. And then you add an extra die on top like Deadly. I wish I would have done that better. And they're harder to resist. So, the bolt action, you know, shoot, reload, shoot, or reload, shoot, reload, however you want to go about doing it, I think makes the difference. And not only that, but unlike other ranged weapons, guns have the most feat-related options in the game currently because of Gunslinger.
Yeah. I can see that. I mean, there's not many other feats I've seen like that are strictly for certain weapons. The other thing that's...
Number of handed weapons, but
yeah, I guess. The big thing I'd say is, in next chance I get, if we're doing a mana waste campaign in the future, like, I will happily test how broken guns are with you. Holy shit, I'll do
I'm
that
sure you would.
immediately.
Again, for the
Again.
second time. But yeah, so I think guns are really solid. I think the damage they can do is really good. You get that crit, it feels so good to do it. But I feel like DPS wise, guns are going to be upper middle of the pack. I feel
I
because
would agree.
their damage is not as high. There's some really good backstabber builds that do a good amount of damage. If he's switching for tomorrow's game, get it done soon, I guess. No, because the haste spell, I believe you can only Strider Strike. Every oh goodness, Quickens specifies what you can do with it. So, I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure the haste spell only gives you Strider Strike.
I think it does too, from what I remember.
So you could technically yes. If you start the round, reload, shoot the gun, reload, and then with your final action, shoot. But that's not always going to work because every other round, it's your action economy is going to get a little messy. Because then on the next round, oh no, yeah, you could do it every round. So yes, you could do it. You won't be moving anywhere, which is potentially really dangerous.
Stand still, destroy everything around you.
Just sit there, just click, boom, click, boom, click, boom. But yes, you could. Anyway, so continuing on, we've talked about 30 minutes about the book in general and guns, and those are the two biggest parts. This new book not only adds guns, it adds a whole slew of new techie gadgets for your characters to use. There's new tech-based traps they've added. Siege weapons take a big part of this book, as well as, thanks for the follow in Prophet, as well as vehicles, new vehicles, and badass combat wheelchairs.
Yeah!
I'm actually very excited about combat wheelchairs.
There's so many fun vehicles in this book. It's super cool.
And to everyone's surprise, before the book was fully announced, they added a new race called the Automatons. And oh boy, the Automatons are badass as fuck. They're so good. I really, really like them. Their art is amazing. What they are is really, really good. I think they're a really good race. Lore-wise, they're really messy to kind of put into the game. Because, like, every automaton is, like, thousands of years old. But their memory just can't hold everything, so they just forget their past lives over time. It's kind of like the whole, like, my character is like an elf and they're 300 years old, but they're now starting as an adventurer as level 1 somehow kind of issue.
Yeah, I can see it. You know, it's one of those things where I think it's not going to be an issue for the average player. If you're someone like me who wants to plan out like every detail of your character, there could be some issues there. But, like, for an average person, if they're just like, you're a robot from an old civilization, they're like, dope. Sounds cool. Where do I sign?
Right. And, yeah. I mean, in the end, I don't feel like they're actually that overpowered, honestly. At least not in a substantial enough way to make that big of a difference. But lore-wise, I find that they're a little rough. Yeah. I probably will also have some coming from, like, Beyond Galarian, like, you know, from Starfinder. That seems to make a lot more sense for their race, honestly. But their empire, the Jitska Empire, is really, really interesting, and I actually really want to look into it. from a lore perspective as well. They're kind of like the Atlanteans in a way, but not the Aslanti, which are like the Atlanteans, only fish people style. It's really interesting. But, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, so, like, the book adds a lot. It adds so much flavor lore-wise. They actually have 2 big lore sections. They have like how gadgets and science fit in Galarian, and then they have guns and how they fit in Galarian at the end of each of the 2 sections. From a GM perspective, this is pure gold. You there's so much you can do to like pick up and run with the story. Reading through this book, I was talking to my friends, and I was just saying, I have so many good ideas for a campaign right now, because they just added so much. And Rylan, that is one, and that's one I thought of, but then every character would have to do something like that, wouldn't they? So that's kind of the rub of it. Especially how they talk about soul cores and everything like that, but we're not going to get into automatons right now. Automaton bard. That's terrible.
Great. I love that. And like all those automatons that have like the arm replacement thing, it's just an automaton like for an arm.
But they can even incorporate things into their arms too, so you can just, you can just have it a harmonica, just play a harmonica on his fucking arm.
That would be great.
Their arm anyway. But anyway, let's actually start talking about the classes, because we can't do this in just 2 hours, but we're going to try.
Yeah.
So how you feeling, Alex? You want to start off with Gunslinger? Or
I think I can.
Inventor?
I'd say ending with Inventor might be better, because they're a lot more complex of a class. Like,
okay.
Honestly. All right, let me just real quick. I'm getting to the start. I want to have the book open on the right page.
See, this is where I have Archive of Nethys, because Archive of Nethys has a lot better categorizing for classes.
Yeah. I at least I wrote it like basically from the beginning, like down. From the base for gunslingers, there's a few basic things about them. There's like I mentioned when we were talking about just what guns were, and just how gunslingers are much better with them. Just picking a gunslinger means that you get a +1 circumstance damage bonus to guns and crossbows, and you cannot be higher than trained on unarmed or weapons that are not guns and crossbows. So already you're kind of hitting yourself and like shooting yourself in the foot. But there is a slight way around that with one of the ways, but we'll get into that.
He wrote in his notes.
I did for maybe some parts. My notes are not professional. Sometimes whenever I'm writing notes for stuff like this, I make jokes to myself.
Fair.
So right away, each thing for a gunslinger has, I'd say, this special rule called deeds that are like all of these special actions that gunslingers get access to, and that kind of makes up the brunt of what your class is, like for which each path you pick. These are categorized in like 3 separate ways. There's the initial deed, the advanced deed, and the greater deed. I wrote little summaries for them. The initial deed is something you do to start your fight. It is something that happens when you activate initiative. As you roll initiative in like the first round, you get to do something cool for free. The advanced is usually, for the trend I saw, was at least an extra way to attack or an extra way to deal damage. Sometimes with some circumstantial like activation, but normally it's a way to deal a little bit of extra damage and a little bit of just make another shot. And then your greater is essentially kind of just your ult. It's some way that does like something really interesting, really cool. It's higher level, you're not going to get it for a bit, but when you get it, you have a lot of really interesting options. Also, I want to get your thoughts on this, because from just reading it, Gunslinger's saves are really fucking weird. Because, like, when you're at 3rd level, you become an expert in will saves, and you are unable to crit fail will saves. and you get advantage if it's a like a trait to control you because you are stubborn, as it tells you.
Yes.
And then later on, you become master at reflex in 11th level, and when you crit success, when you succeed, and you get the exact same thing at level 17 with fort saves. Do other classes get access to that, or is that just for
Yes,
Gunslinger?
that's a very common class trend.
Cool.
Most classes have one save that is not that great, except for Monk, and then they'll have their other saves, typically getting up to Master or even possibly higher, like with Monk. Evasion's a very common one for a lot less heavy armor-wearing characters. The Stubborn is very interesting. It's a very situational one, which I guess just adds... It doesn't really do much. You only ever get to Expert in the end anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was talking to Devin about this the other day, where Gunslingers, I feel like it's very tailored to a very specific character archetype.
Yes.
With how it's designed and everything. And it's like the only class that really super geared that way. Which,
yeah,
I don't know how I feel about that per se. But then again, like, Inventor has a bunch of flavor text, designed in a way.
I would say I think the same way, but I know how I feel about it. I love it because the character that archetype that it's trying to get me to play is the one I want to play.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
Yeah.
If it fits, it fits. And I guess that's just going to be the way for a lot of people who really want guns.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting twist. And, hell, I actually kind of like it, at least for Stubborn, because it makes your character just seem ornery as hell. And there's not a lot of things in the game that kind of do the same thing as far as, like, that feeling.
But back to the last piece of, like, general class info. There are 2 tags that, honestly, I kind of roughly knew what they did. If you've seen Season 1 of Critical Role, you'll understand it. It's that of Flourish and Misfire. Essentially because, like, for those of you who don't know, which I bet most of you know this, the Gunslinger class, or at least like the rules they made for Percy in Season 1 are essentially just Pathfinder Gunslinger that they got to work for 5th edition, I think, till he redesigned it. But Flourish is essentially an action that you can only use once per turn. In the rules, it is something that is so complex or takes a lot of it's too much exertion to use it like more than once. So you get to use something with a Flourish tag once. And then there's Misfire. Something I really like. You have to maintain your gun. If you are not cleaning your gun and taking care of it, if you use your gun the day before, and then the next day you haven't cleaned it, every time you shoot, you have to roll a DC 5 flat check before making your attack roll. If you fail the check, your weapon misfires and jams, and it's an automatic crit fail on that. You have to spend an hour cleaning your weapon, after you use it. So, during rests, mention you're cleaning your weapons. Otherwise, if your DM's really on your ass, you're going to have to make some flat checks.
Oh, I want to say something about this, because Misfire is a huge part of Gunslinger in general. So Misfire in general is something you don't have to worry about on average, because it's kind of like it's like every other class's daily preparation things, like you have to pray or do whatever. The DM can really just hand wave saying, oh yeah, I'm sure you did. You can also clean a reasonable amount of weapons in an hour. So I would say like 10 weapons, maybe. Anything more than that might be stretching it a bit. Granted, 10 weapons in an hour is actually stretching it in real life. For those who've actually cleaned guns before, it's quite the process.
Yeah.
But what I actually really like about Misfire is if you pick up a gun in a dungeon, you can't just necessarily start firing it right away because of all the gunk and grime in it. So it adds an interesting loot aspect to guns. He's like, oh, I found a gun, and you fire it, and it's just like, it misfires, or has a chance of misfiring. So it makes guns really interesting as like a piece of loot that you actually need to pay more attention to, and I actually really like that. And speaking of Ryland,
that's really cool.
Investigator, they have a lot of themed feats, yes, but the theme of the feat isn't necessarily like, it doesn't necessarily mention anything beyond like your character's personality, the same way that other gunslinger abilities are just like your character's ornery as hell, or your character is got that grit, No, you can't use prestidigitation to clean a gun, because it specifically mentions it takes an hour. So, and hey Denny, we'll get to you in just a second. So essentially, if you wanna like logic it out, you can't see into the barrel, so it can't be affected by magic due to line of sight.
Also, don't look down your barrel.
Don't look down your barrel. Yeah, that's also a really bad idea. It's a good way to lose your brain.
Yes.
Not just an eye, just your whole hell and brain. And hey, Denny, I think this book is the best book that they come out with. It not only has a lot of flair to add to the game, adding new mechanics, new ways to play the game, but from a lore perspective, it also adds a whole bunch more themes to the game, and a lot of different ways to play, and a lot of different campaigns to play. I would say if I was to rate this book on a 1 out of 10 scale, or out of F to S, I'll say this is an S tier book. S plus. Really good. Can't say anything. Anyway, sorry I disrupted you. Alex, go ahead and continue.
So that is like the main overall things. After that, you kind of just go into the gunslinger ways, which are your fighting style that each grant you 3 separate deeds as you level up. There are 4 main ones. There is the way of the drifter, the pistolero, the sniper, and the vanguard. There is another way, and it's a little confusing because it's an archetype. It's not a... You take an archetype, and it basically gives you a way, and I think it overrides it.
So, okay, I'll actually explain this.
Yeah, please explain that.
This is a class archetype, which are slightly different than archetypes or multi-class archetypes. You actually pick a class archetype at character creation, and it determines how you go as you level up. When you read, it's what was it?
The spell strike one is the one, or spell shot's the one I'm talking about.
Spell shot, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one where I was confused reading it. Like, why isn't this just a way? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, it says you have to take this multi-class or this class archetype at 2nd level.
Okay.
So it mentions that because you actually pick it at the beginning, and then it tailors it. It's the same as the Rune Mage or Rune Lord Wizard path.
That's fair. Okay, cool. Thank you. I was confused on that. So at least a overview of each of the ways. First one is Way of the Drifter. You're a pirate. That's what it is. You have a gun in one hand, a melee weapon in the other. Your entire thing is moving real fast, being very flexible, and going between melee strikes and ranged attacks. For example, you have some abilities like when you start the match, you get to make a free action like 10-foot step for free. And as well, I forgot actually one thing. Each way gets its own special reload. And your reload action also, you get to reload your gun, but do something alongside. So for example, for the drifter, you actually get to make a melee attack and reload your gun in a single action. And there's some interesting ones, like as it goes down. There's some that are very fun. And then as it goes on, your advanced deed for drifter is if you fail to shoot somebody, you can make a melee attack with the same penalty as the last shot you made, but then you apply multi-attack to the action, any attacks you would take afterwards, as in you've just made 2 attacks, now you have a third one. You take the 3rd attack penalty for your 3rd attack, if you were to do so. And then your greater deed is pretty fun. It's a 3-action ability where you just stride and attack 3 times, but they have to be against separate targets. And as well, I don't think. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So those 3 attacks you're making with that 3 action actually do not get multi-attack penalties. It applies afterwards, and your movement doesn't trigger reactions, so you can get around opportunity attack, which is that straight up feels like it's an Overwatch ult, to be honest.
There are actually several other feats like this in the game.
Yeah.
There's like Path of Iron from the martial artist dedication and everything like this. What's really good about this one specifically, from a game mechanic standpoint, is technically firing a gun in close range can trigger attack of opportunity.
Yeah,
so you can attack the person in front of you, step away from them, and shoot a different person without getting attacked.
Yeah.
And then if you have enough space, you can run up to another person and stab them. It's really good. I really like this one.
Yeah, it's a cool one. It's not my aesthetic. We're going into my favorite way right after this one. But there's a lot of cool options, and honestly, when you're playing Gunslinger, like, it's a class where your positioning is going to be key, as it would be. You have a gun. There's a lot of weird things around that you get some fun abilities. So my favorite one is, and no surprise to Cameron, Way of the Pistolero. It's the quick wit, professional duelist, pistol twirling dude. You talk fast and shoot fast. It's pretty fun. It kind of feels like a fun meld between Gunslinger and Swashbuckler. Because, for example, when you reload, you actually are distracting your enemy as you're reloading, so they don't notice you reload. And you make a deception check to create a diversion, or intimidation check to demoralize as you reload. As well as it goes in, you get some fun things like when you roll initiative, you get a +2 circumstance bonus to your initiative, and you get to make your 10-foot free step. And then let's see, if someone crit fails against you at what level do you get? Your advanced seed, level 9, you can immediately make another shot against them. And your greater deed is my favorite fucking thing ever. You remember when you asked me last night to write down a thing that, like a specific feat or ability that I really like? Because it's this one. This is the best thing ever. It is called Grim Swagger, and I would like to read it to you. It is a 2-action cost, and your only requirement is that you have a one-handed firearm or a one-handed crossbow visibly worn or wielded. And it says, and I quote, "You attempt to clear the room by promising a grim fate to anyone who doesn't do what you say, and quickly. Attempt a deception or intimidation check against the will DCs of each creature within 30 feet except for your allies. And if you succeed your check, the creature everyone that fails that check becomes frightened 2, and if you crit succeed, they become frightened 3, and if they're lower level, they're fleeing for 1 round." It is quite literally that thing from those like Western movies where they flip open their duster to reveal their gun. And it's like, anyone who doesn't want to get shot, you better get going, and everyone just clears the room. It's so cool. I love it so much. You get it at level 15, which is like the biggest shame, which I guess fair if you're just going to make an entire room afraid of you. But it's the coolest shit. That is, I think, my favorite, one of the 2 favorite Gunslinger abilities I've read. It's the coolest thing ever. Then,
No, go ahead, continue. All right. I was gonna fill some air while you were looking.
That's fair. Then the third one is Way of the Sniper, which essentially also feels like a little combination with a gunslinger that gets some rogue abilities. It's pretty obvious what a sniper is and what a sniper does. When you reload, you actually take cover or attempt to hide, then reload. As well, your initial deed, which is probably you're gonna get a lot of good use. Only the trigger is you have to roll stealth for initiative. Which, by the way, can you choose to do that, or is that a thing you have to get a feat for?
So some classes get the ability to roll things like stealth or deception for initiative. Otherwise, in order to roll something like stealth, your character must be doing some action when combat starts.
Okay.
So if you're hidden, if you were stealthing before combat starts, yes, you can use
Okay.
you can use stealth.
Because when you roll stealth for initiative, on your first turn, your first strike with that weapon deals an additional D6 precision damage. Because you actually do get some ways to deal extra damage as a sniper. You're going for that one powerful shot rather than just rapid fire. And say with your advanced deed, if the target is flat-footed, your strike deals an extra die of weapon damage, and the foe takes persistent bleed damage equal to the amount of precision damage you do for your initial deed. And then the greater deed, your little ult, is if you're hidden and you make your shot, you get the extra precision damage you would from your initial deed, and if you're undetected or unnoticed, you are now hidden from them instead of revealed, which, pretty good. They know which direction the shot came from, but they don't know where you are. And the last one,
well, they do know where you are, but they can't see you. Hidden means they know your location, but you're not like revealed to them, which means you get the hidden,
that's what I mean.
You get the hidden like bonus where they need to make an 11 flat check to target you, which is really good.
And then the Way of the Vanguard, which is a very interesting one if you want to play heavy weapons guy and just carry around a very big gun. You're kind of going full siegecraft, defensive tank. It's they mention it's a dwarven, it's a style from Dwarven Siege Engineers, so you'll get a lot of that. Your reload is you get to make a shove action as you reload. And actually, the thing that's really fun about that is you get to add your item bonus from your gun to your athletics attack. Like to shove someone, you get to add your item bonus. Your initial deed is you get a circumstance bonus to your AC as you roll initiative. There's the advanced deed where you you spin in a circle, increasing your momentum by shooting your gun, and everyone around you takes damage that increases if you have striking runes on your gun. I like that one. I like the image of that one. It's very, very fun. And then one of the other really fun greater deeds, Siege Breaker. I will quote this as well. With unbelievable force, you charge and smash your weapon into a target before digging in your heels and pulling the trigger. Leap or stride, then make a strike with the required firearm or crossbow against an adjacent target. This strike deals an additional 3d8 bludgeoning damage and ignores 10 points of the target's hardness, or if their shield's hardness if the target uses shield block. You're then immobilized, but you do get a circumstance AC bonus. That was just really fun. That was just really fun and goofy, which is kind of honestly my takeaway from this way. It's kind of fun and goofy. You carry a big gun, you run around, you hit people with it, and you just kind of hunker down. It's pretty cool. Other than that, there's a bunch of just really interesting feats. I know there was one I really liked. Yes, the Pistoleros Challenge, where essentially you just challenge somebody, and you kind of just challenge them to a one-on-one. If you succeed your check against the target's will DC, you and the opponent gain a +2 status bonus to damage rolls, but only to strikes against each other. It's pretty fun. I really like that. I like the like calling someone a coward and like just facing them down. Pistolero is my favorite because it's a lot of just like challenging someone and doing really fun pistol stuff. Overall, there are a lot of really interesting feats. I do recommend reading through them. Their trick shot's another fun one. Instead of you're gonna make a strike, but instead at shooting someone, you make you shoot at an AC equal to an easy DC for your level, and you can do certain actions like dislodging an object or explosive barrel action where your attack would hit something volatile that explodes. And then I guess the last other thing I'd like to talk about when it comes to Gunslinger is probably my favorite bit, where it's the backgrounds they talk about, if that's on the agenda at all for
Yeah,
today.
go ahead. Talk about
Perfect.
the backgrounds. Gunslinger got some interesting ones because they
They're
got
so cool.
the full range. The gadget or the inventor or the gears section only got like normal backgrounds or rare backgrounds, but the Gunslinger actually got a whole range.
There's a lot. So there's a bunch. Like I recommend it's page 122 is where it starts if you have the book and you want to look at them. Which I recommend reading through. They're super fun. They're going to give you a lot of cool character ideas. There's stuff like back alley doctors, a cannoneer, a hired killer, farmsteader, a junk collector. I think it's a fun one, especially if you're doing a mana waste. Like play that wasteland like a character with a cart full of scrap.
Mad Max, yeah, Mad Max style.
Exactly. One that's really fun, and there's actually an archetype for it too, is a spotter. As the book does actually say that a fun thing you could do and really encourages this is getting another player to play a spotter character for your sniper, and they'll give you a lot of bonuses for shooting because you have a spotter. But
they get a lot of good bonuses actually. A lot of cool ones. Spotter's really good.
It's really interesting. But I will talk about my favorites. I will go, lower to higher for favorites. Waste Walker is a really fun one. You grew up in the mana wastes, and essentially you get stuff like you're trained in survival and mana waste lore, and your character, the vibe I get is like you're an NPC from Fallout or like Mad Max movies. You're kind of just there. You grew up in that area, you know what it's like, you know how to live. There's the Sheriff, which is kind of fun. This one is an uncommon background. You're trained in intimidation and the hunting lore. You get the group coercion feat, and yeah, you're a sheriff. You got your town, and you protect it. Now for the best ones. Wandering Preacher. Wandering Preacher is one of the best backgrounds ever, and I'm not biased when I say this. If any of you were here for the table talk, I think it was 2 weeks ago? Or was it last week?
Last week, I think.
It was last week. Last week, Cameron hinted that this was a thing, and I got very excited. I am a massive fan of heavy religious imagery, especially like Christian imagery. And essentially, you are, just to read it, while you once spoke to a small congregation in a ramshackle church, those days are behind you now. Your church was destroyed, your congregants scattered, and now you meander the lands holding a worn copy of your religious text in one hand and a fiery conviction in the other. It's so cool. I really like that character type. I love the gunslinging preacher. It is a very fun character, and I can see myself playing that immediately. If you're keeping an eye and watching any of our tabletop streams, expect this from me. Do not be surprised if the next campaign I join, I am playing a gunslinging preacher. And now, the other really, really cool one. The Revenant background. This is a rare background, and I specifically wrote in my notes to quote this. You died. No real doubt about that. Bullet to the brain or knife to the throat, you were dead as dead can be. Then you got back up again. Maybe you had some unfinished business, or maybe you were just so tough and so mean that hell itself spat you out. Either way, you came back for a reason. That is so fucking cool. I love that. I really, really like that character type. I love the I love the Revenant character, the one that was kicked out of hell for just being too mean. Specifically, whenever I read this, if any of you in the audience have read this too, I think of the Saint of all killers from Preacher. A man so mean and hate-filled, when he went to hell, it froze over. I love this. I don't see myself playing this character anytime soon, because I would just play the Saint of all killers, and I don't want to do that. But the backgrounds are so fun. The backgrounds is honestly one of my favorite things from this book. There's besides the one I mentioned, I recommend reading through them because I think there's a lot of really interesting options for your characters, and I think it'll give you a lot of really fun flexibility to come up with stuff for your character's backstory. So give it a read. I think you'll have some really, really good character ideas from it.
All right. I'm going to speak a few more things about guns.
Yes.
try as quickly as we can so we can get this last bit out for the inventor and gadget side of things. First of all, I'm gonna mention my favorite feat from Gunslinger because it's so dumb. Actually, I got two. You know, I got a second one because
Perfect.
it's also just really, really dumb, and I'm sure Alex loves it. I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about. My favorite feat from Gunslinger is alchemical shot. You straight up pour a potion or some kind of bomb into the barrel of your gun and you shoot it. It flies out. The strike that you're doing, so whatever your gun normally does for damage, does the same type of damage as the alchemical potion. Plus, it deals then an additional d6 persistent damage of the same type as the bomb. It doesn't get the other bomb's effects. It doesn't get the item bonus for the bomb if you have higher level item bonuses. Though, as you do level, the persistent damage does increase. It's really dumb. It's really, really dumb.
It's so goofy.
And I love it. I love the idea. Now, if you miss your target, it backfires, and your gun suffers a misfire. So it's something you have to do somewhat sparingly. But it's just like, oh fuck, let me just pour this bomb into my barrel. All right, good. And then you shoot like a lightning bolt or something at someone. It's really dumb. I love it though, and it makes a very interesting gunslinger archetype, which is the alchemical shootist. And I would love to try that. That sounds like a lot of fun. But the other one, oh god, what was this? Level 16 feet. Yes. This one's the dumbest feat of them all. You want some ridiculous shit? Here it is. Instant return.
Yeah, there it is.
16 feet. It's a reaction you use on a when an enemy misses you with a range attack type, using the same kind of ammunition as the weapon you're wielding. You just, as a reaction, pop open the chamber, catch their bullet, snap it shut, and fire it back.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's so good. It's really, really dumb. I don't know what to say about it, but man, this is the kind of shit that like I expect Alex to bring in my games. That's why I keep saying this whole book was just made for Alex.
It's a great book. Every time, Cameron messaged me last night talking about something he found. It was like, oh yeah, I want that. I know there's another one. Oh yeah, we really can't neglect right under alchemical shot in 4th level. You can rocket jump.
Yeah, you can rocket jump.
God,
you can rocket jump. Dumb.
You fire your weapon as you jump, and you use the kickback to jump farther. You leap and discharge your gun to add a 10-foot status bonus. If you spend 2 actions, you high jump instead.
And then there's later feats where you can just shoot more times to get more distance. It's really, really dumb.
It's really goofy.
Look at that portal gun.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up. I had it up. Let me a second.
You have it. Well, before we get to that, one more thing. They come with this section. Also comes with a bunch of archetypes that are gun specific. They range from combat to situational to utility. Some of my favorites were the unexpected sharpshooter, where your character just has so much dumb luck that you accidentally like headshot people when you accidentally drop your gun. I think it's it's a really funny archetype, and I think it's a great character style to play. But this also has one of the most interesting archetypes of any archetype in the game, which are the Beast Gunners.
Yeah.
These people go out, they hunt a particular magical beast, and they have to do it in like ritualistic combat. It has to be challenging to you. And once you kill the beast, you turn it into a gun, and you do a ritual to bond with the gun. And the beast guns already do really interesting things, but the beast gunner is also strangely a magic caster, and they get spells.
It's very interesting. It's not an archetype I see myself playing, as just reading through it. It's like it's not my aesthetic, but I could see someone making a super cool character through it. And I think it was mentioned like as well, like actually I don't even think you might work out, but there's a lot of interesting combos you could probably do with Ranger and Gunslinger. I feel like making a Beast Gunner Ranger could be interesting.
I think it would be too. Another strange thing is you actually have to have a beast gun in order to pick up the beast gunner dedication.
That's fair, I guess.
Which is really interesting. I mean, it makes sense. You can't just pick it up and then get a really good weapon. But let me real quick, while you find the page for that portal gun.
Oh, I do have it up.
You do have it up? Well, let me talk about a couple of the beast guns real quick.
Yeah.
Just to show, like, so there's the petrification cannon. Made from a basilisk, it counts as a double-barreled musket for use. And you can activate it with a 2 activation once per hour. It shoots a beam of petrifying energy that requires a DC 34 fort save, or they're affected as if by the spell Flesh to Stone. All their guns do really interesting things, and one of the things about Beast Gunner that I found really great is it mentions in the Beast Gunner section that each gun operates very differently and does very different things. So the hunters should pick guns that really go to their playstyle, because pretty much every single gun applies to a different kind of playstyle for your character. And I think this is really good. It's a great character style to play, to have your own character arcs about hunting down new beast guns. It's also great for a setting if you want to do like a monster hunter style setting in Arcadia. And Arcadia is actually where these come from. In a particular area called... What was it? It is... It's like the Forest of the Dead or something like that.
I know that they mentioned
the Deadshot Lands.
Okay.
The Deadshot Lands. That's where it comes from. So I really want more information on Arcadia. What page is that portal gun on?
It is 165. So I'm glad you brought that up, Flame. It was because I didn't see this, and this is a very interesting item. It's called Mountebank's Passage. It is a +2 greater striking flintlock pistol. There's 2 of them. And essentially, instead of like the blue and orange portal gun, you have a black pistol and a white pistol. One made from soapstone, one made from onyx. And essentially, you shoot the white pistol, you make a portal. You shoot the black pistol, you make a portal. And go through one, you go through the other. It's super interesting. That is a really, really fun magic item. I hope to use that one day, because that is super cool. I was reading through it to see if there's anything else. No, there's just cool pistols that you can use an action for each. It is 1 action to fire the portal on either gun. And you just have a portal gun. It's pretty dope.
It's a +2 greater striking flintlock pistol. It's called the Mountebank's Passage. The same as the Mountebank's Cloak from 5th edition, if you're familiar with the item. It lets you kind of like swirl around in smoke and jump in. Which means you can just shoot this gun normally.
Yeah.
On top of the fact that it has a portal effect, which is really, really cool.
There is one more pistol I would like to talk about.
Sure.
It's called the Pistol of Wonder. It is on page 167.
Yeah, I already know this one.
Yeah, it's a +2 greater striking flintlock pistol. And essentially, on a 2-action command, you choose a creature within 60 feet and roll a percentile dice on the table below to determine the pistol's effect. Just for shits and giggles, I'm going to roll 1d100 real quick. Just to see, what do I get? 26. So if I, point this at a creature, and I use it. For the 26, it casts the spell Heroism on me. And there's a few interesting ones in here. Like on a 51, you cast Disintegrate. On a 3, the target becomes a shiny metal color. And any sound or speech becomes tinny and robotic.
And it lasts for a month.
Yeah. 72 to 79, the pistol casts Phantasmal Killer. 80 to 81, dozens of bullet holes appear on the target's non-magical clothing. This effect is purely cosmetic. I really like this. I really like just weird tables of weird effects. It's Wild Magic the gun. It's great.
It is a Wild Magic gun.
It's very, very cool.
I've actually invented a new pistol for my Tuesday game. The players just ran into an android whose name is Verity3, and she has this really cool pistol in the picture. So I invented a handgun for her. It's called it's an arc pistol, and it's a self-reloading pistol. It shoots. It counts the same as a. It counts the same as a. Goodness, which one was it? The basic one. Where are you? It counts the same as like the basic, like one-handed pistol. It does a D6. Yeah. Can't remember what it's called at the moment, and I can't seem to find it. But it does electric damage instead, and it auto recharges. It doesn't necessarily improve her action economy, but what it does do is whatever action she takes next counts as a reload action for the gun. So she can do other things while using this gun, and it comes from space. It did lose its fatal trait, though.
That's fair. That seems like a cool one.
It's a really good one.
Especially for someone who's, not a gunslinger.
Yeah, she's actually not a gunslinger. She's a Marcus. But, let's go ahead, shift gears, and let's talk about the Inventor.
Yeah.
Oh boy, is the Inventor really good? Oh my goodness.
So, right off the bat, because I mentioned this to you before the stream, that I tried to read Inventor, and good lord, is it just dense. How would you compare it to a class like Alchemist, would you say?
I would say Inventor is actually easier than Alchemist, for different reasons. So, here's how I would kind of categorize the two. Alchemists is really bad if you have poor organizational skills.
So me, yeah.
It's you have a lot of potions you can make. You got a lot of potions and stuff you got to keep track of. It can be really rough. But I like Alchemist because it gives you a lot of options due to that. Inventor is the opposite. You don't necessarily need to, I mean, there's a lot of stuff you're adding to your character sheet with it, but Inventor, I would say, is really bad if you're bad at making choices, because that's where you can really get hung up. Now, let's explain Inventor so that makes more sense, shall we? The Inventor is a martial class. This is not like the same as the Alchemist. The Inventor actually feels like a true blue martial class. It's designed to get up and fight you in whatever kind of combat you feel fit. It's an intelligence-based class, which doesn't really play too much into it. There's some abilities that do scale off their intelligence damage, but otherwise, because it's intelligence, you're not going to be as capable early level as some of the other martial classes. You get up 8 hit points, which makes you a little bit less than some of the other martial classes as well. But you can augment literally everything about your character. When you pick the Inventor, you pick what your innovation is. And your innovation is either armor, a weapon, or you get a construct companion. With this, you just begin tweaking it and giving it modifications until it's the perfect item. Along with that, you can also pick up other feats to cover your other areas that you're not as capable in. So what the inventor really is about is you deciding what you want to do and having a really good picture of what you want to do so that you can start building and modifying towards it. The big one I'll talk about right now is the weapon innovation. Because when you modify it, you start giving your weapon traits and giving it versatile damage types. You can make any weapon become a two-handed weapon. You can make any weapon become a reach weapon. You can make any weapon do versatile damage. You can make your weapon cut through enemy armor. You actually get a really good ability. Technically, this applies to all the innovations, but it's called Offensive Boost. Whenever you strike with your innovation, which is a weapon or your armor, or whenever your construct companion attacks, it does an additional D6 damage. With a type of damage determined by the boost you choose. You can pick cold, fire, electricity, bludgeoning, slashing, piercing, or acid. It just does more damage. And you can get a feat later that makes it do persistent damage every time you strike. Every time you strike.
Oh my god.
No save, no nothing. It's so good. The inventor does get up to master in both their martial skills and their armor, whatever they wear. And it's a class that you need to know what you want to do. If you have a favorite weapon, now you can make your favorite weapon even better. Even if it's a gun, if you find a way to get access to guns, which Inventor does not get immediate access to guns. Also, Inventor gets shield block. So whenever shield block is such a good feat, or such a good feature. It is a feat, it's a general feat. So your Inventor could have a nice shield and a badass reach longsword and just be the ultimate gladiator. But there's other options that are so equally good. Like the armor, you get two choices. You get stealth armor, you get the what's it called? You get either the subterfuge suit or a fucking power suit.
Yeah, power armor. So cool.
The innovation for those, like the subterfuge suit, literally, you can hide in plain sight with the subterfuge suit. It lets you take the hide action just by, like, crouching. And you can become undetected to everyone, which means they can't target you with abilities. They can hit you with area attacks, sure. But unless they make a successful seek against, I believe it's your class DC, they cannot target you directly.
Yeah,
that's really good. The suits can get damage resistance. You can get a lot of damage. You can get 5 damage resistance to all types of damage through modifications. And you can actually make your power suit up to the same quality as like plate mail armor with no speed reduction. And then the construct companion you can get from this is actually so good. Your little buddy can do just a lot of things. The only thing about the construct companion that's interesting is it's a construct. So it has the same resistances and immunities that constructs normally do. It doesn't take mental damage. Doesn't do this, that, or whatever. But you can't heal it unless you take a repair action to it, which can only be done as like a exploration activity. You can't repair in combat. So it's kind of one of the weaknesses of the construct companion. And if it goes down twice, it'll just explode. But then you can fix it. But I will tell you right now, one of the best things about Inventor is it's so modular. You can literally change your entire character battle style by just spending downtime days to change your modifications and to even swap some of your feats. Like, this is the only class that by itself can swap some of its own feats that it picks. Not like Fighter that gets extra feats that they can swap. This one can just sit down and just change what gear they have available.
That is super cool, actually. That is perfect for this class too. Because also, actually, with you reading it and going through everything, how would you compare it to the 5e Artificer?
I never played 5e Artificer.
Oh, okay.
I would say this one's a lot more combat orientated. Also, one thing I will mention, they also are automatically trained in crafting, and their crafting skill automatically ups as they level.
Oh shit.
Yes. So like at first level you become trained, at third level you get to expert, and then every time you could bump it up to the next level, it automatically improves for you. It's the only class that does this, and my god is it so good and handy. And also, to be fair, comparing it to the 5th edition one is not really fair, because 5th edition you can't have such like modulation with it, because you just don't get that many choices when it comes to like feats and options and whatever.
That's fair.
So they're just two different kinds of games in the end. Also, another thing with the Inventor is they get access to one of my favorite types of abilities that they've come out with Pathfinder, which are unstable abilities.
Yeah, the unstable shit.
Unstable is so good just because you get it and you roll a flat check. If you roll a 17 or higher, you can do another unstable check. You can keep doing unstable if you want. More than likely, you're only going to get 1, maybe 2 off, but still. And a lot of their abilities come with effects, and then you can make them go unstable to do something else. You make a craft check to make them go unstable, and based on your craft check, a certain effect happens. A lot of it is amping up the ability, making it stronger, making it do more damage. There's all kinds of things. They just get an innate ability, no feat required, to just make their innovation explode and not actually destroy it, which is really interesting. They're just like, oh yeah, I just put like an explode function on it just in case, but it actually doesn't destroy it. And it's an emanation, which means you don't have to include yourself in the emanation, like if it was your armor, for instance. Which means you can just be in the middle of combat, and then you just go... And as your innovation gets better and better and better, you can increase the size of the emanation. And so many of the other ones as well that boost your emanation, your innovation specifically, can just... It gets bigger and bigger, or bigger area. I literally cannot talk about Inventor enough to fully give everyone what it can do in a concise enough fashion. Doing a 20-minute video on this one is going to be absolutely murder.
I was gonna say, I can't wait for your why inventors are awesome.
God. I think inventors also can rocket jump.
Oh,
if not, just invent a straight up rocket pack. But
give every class with ranged options rocket jump.
Oh no, I'm not gonna make it longer. So if you want to watch longer videos, go watch the other people who do hour-long videos. My brand is 20 minutes of manic me talking about random feats.
Good.
That's what I got. But if I was to like condense Inventor down to its basics, martial class, innately good at crafting, can augment their weapons, armor, or companion as they see fit, and can spend downtime days to completely change their kit.
that's so cool. That's really fun.
It's really good. You have way too many options though, and that's why I feel like this class will not a lot of people will really like this class that try it out because they'll just have so many options they won't know what to do for character creation.
It's going to be one of those classes for me. Like, I'm in that boat. If I'm in a game with an inventor, like with someone who likes and plays inventor, I will love it. I will think it's the coolest shit ever. If I actually had to sit down and play it myself, I wouldn't like it. I don't like being thrown that many like just things I can do. I get overwhelmed and then I just don't know what I'm doing. It's too much for me, but I hope I play in a game with an inventor. That sounds like a great time.
They're so good.
Hell yeah.
And this is why I said alchemist requires organization skills. You gotta keep track of your potions you have every day. You gotta keep track of what you do know, especially for your advanced alchemy, all that other kind of stuff. But at the beginning of the day, once you got everything selected, you're good for alchemist for the rest of the day besides advanced alchemy. You just have to keep track of what you have. Inventor, like, you only get like 3 total modifications to your invention or whatever, plus whatever feats you get. But because each level of modification gives you so many choices, you have to have a really specific idea on what you want to get. Like, an inventor, once everything is said and done, is a really simple character. You might have to remember all the different traits your weapon has, but if you play on Roll20, which we do, it keeps track of that kind of stuff for you. But you just have to make those choices and have that clear idea first, which really, I think, really enhances the inventor mindset. Like, inventors are really good at bringing their imagination to life, and that's exactly what they did with the inventor. I think this was actually the premier class for Guns and Gears, personally. I think it got the proper amount of love and attention from it. They have the gadget section of the book shortly after the inventor that really augments what they can do, especially because you can pick up feats that allow you to have free gadgets every day. And the inventor just feels like such an interesting, innovative way to play the game. Gunslinger is good, and Gunslinger does exactly what the Gunslinger people wanted it to do.
Yes.
But in the end, it's not that advanced of a class.
Nope.
It didn't really change anything. You're just a fighter who focuses on gunplay, and it has that swashbuckler elements of like risk versus reward, especially with their misfire effects.
Yeah, it seems like if you're playing Gunslinger, like similar to how Swashbuckler plays, you are fiending for that nat 20. You're fiending for it. You want to crit every chance you get because, you know, more damage. And you get better things when you crit. Gunslinger is the perfect class for me. Like, that is what this book is. At least, like, it's really interesting to have a book where you gravitate towards one class really heavily, I go for the other.
Yeah, it really helped set the bill. I could spend time researching while you were talking about Gunslinger. Yeah, honestly, exactly. It worked out really, really well. Yeah. Speaking of, let's quickly talk about our favorite feats from Inventor, and then I'm going to talk about the archetypes that came with the gadget side of things as well. And my favorite feat for Inventor, hands down, is Megavolt. You can get it at level 6. You bleed off some of the electrical power from your innovation in a shape of a damaging bolt. Creatures in a 20-foot line from your innovation take 3d4 electricity damage with a basic reflex saving throw against your class DC. The electricity damage increases by 1d4 at 8th level, and every even level, pretty much. And this is something you can just do. You just get Megavolt, and you can just repeatedly use it. There's no limit. It's a 2-action ability, so obviously you can only do it normally once a round anyway. But it's really good. But you can also make it go unstable, which gives it the unstable trait. And it increases it to a 60-foot line, and all the D4s become D12s.
Oh.
And then as your innovation gets better and better and better, the unstable function increases to a 60 or up to a 120-foot line. And this feat goes into another feat called Gigavolt. Which Gigavolt bounces the beam off of any barrier it comes across, any wall or anything, and it can bounce as many times as the line permits, and it bounces in any direction you choose. Creatures in this area can only be affected by the beam once, though.
That's really fun. That's super cool.
So cool. And if you give this to your construct companion becomes horrifying as they're just running around shooting massive laser beams.
That's one thing I need to mention, that I love the art in this book. Like, I love the inventor character they made and his little automaton. I love envisioning all these horrifying abilities you're describing, but for this tiny little thing. It's very adorable.
It's so good. Inventor was really solid. Alex, give us your feat pick.
So, reading through it, like when I was going through it, at first I was gonna mention some of the armor ones, because I really like the stuff that has, like, the collapsible armor is, I think, a really kind of just fun little thing you can do. It's really cool too. Like, you modified your armor innovation to collapse into a more compact form, so you can don it or remove it in an instant. Straight up that scene from, well, I don't know, like, what, Endgame, where he just taps his chest and armor comes around. Like, that's super fun. Or like electrical armor. Like, just I really like the armor stuff in this. I like the abilities for that. But I then see the name of feat that I really like. It's a first level feat, but it's no, I created you as a reaction.
I figured you'd pick something like that.
I love just, like, appealing to your construct's companion's bond with this creator and have it break free of a controlling effect. I really like that. That is really goofy. You are my creation. You listen to me.
It's so good. And actually, I forgot about this until you mentioned the construct companion. With the innovations, you can actually eventually make your construct companion not only speak, increase its intelligence, it can also become legendary at 2 charisma or intelligence-based skills.
That's really fun.
Which is so good. You can have a robotic, like, AI assisting you on your adventure. And the character dynamic that would create would just be so good. I absolutely love everything about the inventor. Real quick, though, I want to talk about...
Oh, I had one more feat.
Sure, go ahead. Picking our feat. Go ahead.
So this one, I think, if you're for you, Cameron, you will immediately understand it. Like, why I'm picking this.
Sure.
It's the level 16 feat. You failed to account for this.
Yes. Devin also loves this feat.
When your foes try to attack you, you always seem to have some outlandish invention you can pull out the last second to protect you from whatever attack they throw at you. I love this. I like the little example they have, like, you describe the device you're using, like, when attacked by a shocker lizard's shock strike, you might pull out a specially grounded lightning rod from that time you tried to power an invention by harnessing a thunderstorm. Like, it's one of those feats that requires you to make shit up on the fly and, like, be creative in that way. It's the exact same reason why I like the Traveler's, like, multi-tool or any tool. I love, like, abilities that just force you to think of something weird. It's super cool. That is my favorite inventor feat. It's 16th level, so, but it's very cool.
The iconic for this class is actually an orc. An orc with a prosthetic arm, actually.
I love
though he does have a small goblin-esque companion for his construct companion.
I will also say I forgot to mention it. Honestly, there are a lot of feats for Gunslinger that are perfect for goblins. There's a lot of stuff for, like, gunsling and goblins. Like, a lot of weapons
There's
for it.
Specific, like, weapons from
archetypes
goblins.
for it. I love because as well the combination weapons that they have. The explosive dog slicer.
Something I haven't looked at every single item, but there's a lot of good ones. And you know
There's a
that
lot
feat
of cool.
you mentioned earlier, where
Hmm?
you have like an invention for everything. So what it actually does, mechanically speaking, because I don't think that got mentioned,
Nah, I did not.
you throw out an item and you use instead your crafting DC or your crafting DC rather than your AC, which is really good. There's actually another feat I don't remember. I was actually just trying to look for it right now, where you're once per hour, you are doing some kind of like other skill check, and you just pull out a tool that's super handy for it, and you use your crafting skill modifier instead of the skill modifier for the check, including things like diplomacy. You can just like twist a little thing and it spews out pheromones that just make people like you more. It just lets them use crafting as an omni skill with limitations, but I think that's really good. I actually really love the aesthetic for it. And I'm always one for someone who really likes using other attributes or other skills in place of other skill checks, just because it makes more dynamic building for characters.
Oh yeah, they're always super cool feats that let you use a skill feat for another thing. It's also nice because it really lets your character shine in different situations rather than I'm the performance character, I'm the bard. It's like there's a lot of like feats where you can get like, oh, use performance for such and such, where it really lets you do more than just like the one skill. It's very, very cool. And Inventor gets a lot of like interesting stuff like that. Um, Inventor's aesthetic is very fun.
Oh, yes. So actually, speaking of, I did mention earlier that there's a feat so terribly written that I could not understand what they were
Yes.
talking about. The first thing,
Please tell me.
and it's the one I was actually just talking about. Just the thing. Let me read it out to y'all, and then let me tell you actually what it does in like less than a sentence.
What page is it on real quick?
This is on page 31 or 32 if you have the PDF reader open.
Okay. There it is, yeah.
Need to balance on a razor's edge? Force open an iron door or persuade a dragon to negotiate? Never fear! No matter the situation, you always have just the thing. You attempt a skill action that takes 1 minute or less to complete, using the same number of actions or amount of time as normal. However, as you take the action, describe a device you pull out and use to accomplish the skill. The specifics of how you accomplish this are up to you, but they should fit the challenge at hand. For instance, you might use a gravitational stabilizer to balance on a razor's edge, or force a battering ram gizmo to open the iron door, or a device that produces an aroma that with the ability to pacify worms to persuade the dragon. Using an invention in this way lets you alter how you calculate the skill check used in the action. Instead of the normal skill modifier associated with the skill action, you use your crafting modifier instead.
What are you trying to fucking sell me something? Like
Yes,
what?
but like this is the part that gets me. The last part, the part that tells you how the skill actually works. Using using an invention in this way lets you alter how you calculate your skill check used in the action. Instead of the normal skill modifier associated with the skill action, use your crafting modifier. All that 2 sentences to say for the triggering skill check, use your crafting modifier instead.
Yeah, like you could shorten that down. That's really simple.
This whole thing just says for any skill check that takes less than a minute, you can use your crafting skill modifier as you pull out an invention that just happened, or that's just the thing for the situation. That's all they had to say, and it's just a block of texts, and it's really, really poorly done. Whoever designed this one should feel sad. I like the idea that they were going for with like making it very flavorful, but the last part could have just been done so much better and so much easier. And honestly, they should have just made this like a reaction trigger effect.
Yeah. Just make a skill check version of the of that feat I described. You failed to account for this. Literally, just make
Yeah.
just make it the like social version of that.
But we're getting close to the end here. I do want to talk
Yeah.
about real quick. One, the automaton race is super good. I mentioned it earlier. I'm not going to go into it right here, but I do recommend looking into the automatons. They're aesthetically really good. But the archetype dedications they brought in for this section are so good. The Sterling Dynamo is honestly one of my favorites because it flavors up your prosthetic, giving your prosthetic limbs really cool actions. And for any character, any kind of character who loses a limb, taking Sterling Dynamo gives your character so much more depth and makes you more interesting. But not only that, they added the Trapsmith, which is just every kobold who wanted to go into their snare crafting build can now take the Trapsmith because it's just an archetype dedication completely dedicated to the crafting of snares and all kinds of stuff. And they even have a kobold here with a big backpack setting up a bear trap as the example. They know the players.
The art form's very good. I love this kobold.
And like they also have vehicle specific like trick drivers or vehicle mechanics, same as like the artillerist from the gun section, which help with siege weapons and all that kind of stuff. These are the vehicle variations. Like this is one of the reasons why this book is so good, because so many of these extra if you use the free archetype rule, which I do and I recommend everyone do, I put a special stipulation that it's non-multi-class archetype dedications, forcing the players to pick archetype dedications that are more interesting and not just for like power gain. But if you use the free archetype dedication, this adds a level of flavor to your characters, and on the campaign setting, these can make the story. If you're doing a mana waste game and you're playing like a scavenger style vehicle mechanic who just takes anything they can find to keep their war machine, their road machine going, perfect. Trick driver can be your driver in the party for the game. Like, you can set up a whole fucking team on this. And the guns do the same thing. Like, you get... Like, archetype dedications, I feel people sleep on. Because these will make your story so rich and flavorful and so much deeper, because your character has, like, a job or has, like, a skill set beyond just being an adventurer, beyond just combat. And I think they're really good.
Oh yeah, like this book, like consistently, each time I'm reading through the archetypes, like I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like, oh, that's really cool. Like for each one, it's like, I'm not a fan of a lot of the archetypes, like general ones. I really like all these ones. Like they're super fun. Like the Demolitionist, Pistol Phenom, the sniping duo. I fucking love the sniping duo.
Sniping duo is really good.
So fun. Specifically to make like before the game, collaborate with a friend and like make connected characters. Always fun. The unexpected sharpshooter, like all that shit. It's so cool.
Actually, it's actually another phenomenal idea. Devin is a genius. I'll tell you right now, because Devin actually came up with a really good idea. There's the staff acrobat archetype dedication. Mix that with inventor. Have your staff that's capable of already doing so much because of the staff acrobat, and then just amp the shit out of it using the inventor modifications.
Holy shit, that's great.
Isn't that such a good idea?
That's a great idea.
Because then you just become a staff pro with a super customized staff you have that has like a taser on the end or something like that you can flip over people with. Like, oh my god, it's so good. Oh my god! I totally forgot. I'm sorry, that was really loud. But I totally forgot in the gun section. One of the coolest things, oh my god, why did I forget? Fucking combination weapons.
Combi weapons. They're so good.
Combi weapons. You have an axe musket, a cane pistol, fucking black powder knuckle dusters to just punch people with explosions. Like, right here, you got some Bloodborne-esque shit. Inventor also gets an ability where they take their weapon innovation and they give it a second form, where it just swaps with an action that does a whole set of its own modifications, separate from your initial one. You can do Bloodborne in this game, and they have a rule set right here just for you.
Yeah. It is so fucking cool. Like, this book is great. Like, oh yeah, Piercing Wind. That's the yeah, it's a rifle with an underslung curved blade. Like, it's a stock, like underneath it is just a sword. That's it. It's so cool. This is such a cool book. I love everything. I have yet to find anything where I'm like, oh, that's lame. Like, everything is just really good quality. I am really, really excited to play in a game where we utilize this. I will make time for this type of game. Like, when we play it.
Definitely when I have some free time to run another game. Well, I'll probably be when another campaign like ends for a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll go into it. Though, on the combi weapons, I do want to say the dumbest fucking one is the fucking mace multi-pistol. Just a mace where all the flanges are just pistol barrels.
It's very dumb.
It's so dumb, but it's so good. And combi weapons actually have a special rule that if you strike with the combi weapon, you can use an additional action to also fire with the pistol or whatever, like range weapon is in it.
That's great.
And if you get critical fusion, it has a whole bunch, like, I can't really go into like every specific rule, but they're all really good. I'm so glad this book came out and was as good. This book was way better than I was anticipating.
Yeah. Like, this book is like, so before like yesterday when I was trying to research it, it wasn't on Archive of Nethys yet when I was like trying to do research. So or at least I can find it at the time. So I bought the PDF from Paizo. I do not regret that for a fucking second. This is a great book. Everything in this book makes me excited to make characters, which is what a new rule book should do. You should, like, when you're reading through these, you should realize, like, be hit with that realization of, oh, that's a character idea. Oh, there's a character idea right there. Like, everything in a good, well-designed source book is meant to inspire you, and that's what this book is. This is, I agree. Of all the books they've released, this is my favorite.
Which is crazy because Secrets of Magic I thought was going to be the book for me because I love magic. Yeah. And it feels so much flatter in comparison to this book. Like, whoever they got on the design team for Guns and Gears, have them do the next book as well. Yes. Because they did phenomenally. I've never been more excited to play Pathfinder than I have after reading this book. And, like, don't get me wrong, I love Magus. I think Summoner is really cool. A lot of the rules they added in were really interesting, but it just did not feel like it got nearly as much love as Guns and Gears did. And Guns and Gears just, and like, they add all kinds of things too. Like, there's accessibility written into this book. If you're someone who has accessibility issues, you have prosthetics or you need to use a wheelchair or anything like that. Not only were those kind of things put into this book, but they feel like they were naturally put into this book. Like, they weren't shoved in just to kind of like virtue signal for the book. And not only that, but they're all really cool. All the chairs are really good. The dynamo is really good. Like, honestly, if you have accessibility, like, not issues, if you have accessibility, like, themes in your life and you really want to bring that into your fantasy, you can do it here. It doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel odd. It's really, really cool. And I feel this makes it even more inclusive. in a game system that's actually really inclusive as is, without being up in your face about it. I really, really enjoy everything this book added, and it just it's limitless. It's limitless what this book brought to the game.
True.
If I ran several campaigns, I'd still not get through everything that this book could offer.
Yeah, I think that this book offers like a bunch of like campaign stuff, and like honestly, I feel like you can make videos on each section of the book and have enough content for it. Like you can make an entire video on like the vehicles, like how they work, like all the magical like equipment and gizmos you can do. It is very, very good. Like, yeah, fucking John Paizo, give him my regards.
Well, speaking on that, and it's not something I really want to talk too much about because I don't know about. Currently, Paizo's kind of going through some of its own drama, as it were. In fact, 30 of their employees just formed a union together.
Oh yeah, I saw that this morning.
I don't know a lot about it, so I'm going to refrain from speaking overly much on that. Just know, no business, no matter how good their product is, not subject to corruption and such. I can't speak much about this issue. I feel like if a union like this was formed, there had to have been a reason. But then again, I haven't really dipped too much into it. So make sure you respect the workers of this game. Give them their pats on the back. And, try to keep it civil. I enjoy this game. That's where my focus is. This is such a great game. And all the people who've worked on it deserve everything for it. So, just something I wanted to state. I'm not going to get overly political about it. I'm not going to get really involved in it. My only thing is about the game. That's where I put all my focus and stuff in. I hope this doesn't cause it to collapse in on itself, but, we've seen similar stuff, and if that happens, I will die. Because Pathfinder is my favorite game, by far. Second edition is my favorite game. Because it offers so much.
Yeah.
We got a few minutes. If anyone in the chat wants to, wants to say anything or wants to bring anything up, we can answer any of that. By the way, Xander, good luck on your new upcoming game. I'm very excited for you. I'm sorry we didn't get really into it. I was really on a streak earlier. But good luck with your first game of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I hope you love it. And, right now is a perfect time to jump into Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Unlike when I jumped in when the Advanced Player's Guide was just coming out, and there just wasn't that many options. Now there's so many class options, so many different things you can do. So much of the world lore has been revealed. Their books have been really solid lately. It's it's really, really good. Slug, I'm glad you're here, being in the chat, keeping it alive. I appreciate you. But yeah, if anyone wants to bring anything up, we can chat for a little bit before we end here today. And I guess while people might be typing out or oh hey, thank you Jesse for subscribing. Why is that one different? Oh, it's because it doesn't come. I think I know where I can find that, but I'll have to find it later because I like my black magic one.
Yeah.
A little better. We saw it earlier when in Prophet.
Yeah, it's a really cool one.
Yeah. But thank you, Jess, for joining on our YouTube. My God, that makes 105 already.
Damn, dude.
I was looking. Actually, I'll go back because it's a different day. But yesterday when I was looking, yeah, it's still the same. I got 55 subscribers in the last 28 days.
Fuck yeah, man.
That's over half of what this channel had.
Yeah. I can't wait to
And
brag to my friends that I'm friends with a celebrity.
right, yeah, we'll give it a couple years. But it's really good seeing like everything is going up on the channel, all the videos are doing well. Subscriber counts still 55 since yesterday, and it's 28 days, so it like every day it could change. Really solid. Let's see. Flameloud mentioned earlier, I saw a Reddit post about giving everyone 4 actions and reducing having their speed to make it fair. I wanted to rage at that. What do you guys think? I think that's not a good idea.
I would
The
have
game
to
is
agree.
balanced around 3 actions. A lot of the primo actions that they've designed are based on 3 actions, so it gets really messy. And then cutting all the speed in half would actually make your characters slower.
Yeah.
Because let's do the math here, shall we? 3 actions full speed. Okay. 4 actions half speed. That means you get 2 movements worth of actions for your speed in this new method, rather than 3 actions worth of speed if you really want it.
That sounds like a call of completely change the system. Make Pathfinder 3E or whatever.
I mean, it's just the game's not balanced around that. Like,
Yeah.
if they want 4 actions, the people who are asking for 4 actions want to cast 2 spells around, or they want to do 2 power attacks around.
There it is.
And the only thing, like, when you're looking at a game that you like and you feel like it's relatively balanced, the last thing you should be asking for is more power, because that just unbalances the game.
And honestly, my gut reaction to that is just like, that sounds like a way to just kind of make combat longer, just kind of more drawn out. Like if it's, or like if everything does more, or like everything's slower, like I feel like maybe you'd have to balance that by like having certain things at lower damage, since you could output more attacks or spells or such and such. Yeah, that honestly does just sound like someone who plays Wizard and is like, has casted a fireball and had it fail one too many times. He's like, well, I just want to do another one. That's what that sounds like to me.
Yeah, and this thing, players always want what's going to benefit them the most. So they're going to keep asking for things that make their characters stronger and stronger and stronger. As someone who loves this game a lot and someone who works as the DM, but also loves the player aspects of it, like, I feel that, like, balance works best, because despite what some people seem to think, making broken characters is unfair to your DM. And they're a fellow player in this cooperative storytelling game that you're playing. The more you make a broken character, the harder you're making your GM's job, and that's super selfish. Some GMs love that kind of stuff. And you know what? Good on them. That's not the average, and honestly, when you're talking about the mechanics of like what a GM is supposed to do, which is to provide challenge and to create narrative moments for your game, making broken characters makes both of those jobs harder. Can they do it? Yes. The GM has ultimate say over everything that goes into the game. But it's more work. It's like players who demand the DM input story narrative points for them into the game when they're already making, the story. Let's see. Made by a GM who misunderstood the rule and now sticking to their guns. His player was complaining about how unbalanced the game become and was trying to get it changed back. Yeah, so there you go.
I love that. I love, like, someone just fucking misunderstood a rule and doubled down. I love those posts. Good lord. I want to find this post. I actually am curious to hear the reasoning for it. I'm curious what someone's reasoning is. Strictly because I completely disagree with that, like, that idea. I think it's a really, really bad idea.
It is a bad idea. Yeah. The game is not designed for that.
Exactly.
Could it be designed for that? Yes. This is not that time, though. And honestly, I think more than 3 actions creates action bloat. And creates more problems with balancing than one might think. That's why actually in Pathfinder, the quickened action always gives you specific actions you can take while quickened to allow you to do more, but within a scope of the game that doesn't necessarily give it a chance to break.
Yeah.
But yeah, whoo boy, this has been a good stream. We've actually had like an average of like 8 or 9 viewers this stream, which is higher than average. We actually got like above 10 at some points.
Ooh.
I think I'll definitely have to have a stream where I just talk about the rules at some point or whatever with people. It feels like, well, I don't know if it's a good idea. It creates a lot of chances for controversy to appear, because in the end, it's like anything that has written rules. How one might like interpret a rule writing is different than another, and also people come at this from very biased opinions sometimes. You know, players tend to come from the perspective of a player, and GMs tend to come from a perspective of a GM. Even I'm kind of subjected to that. Like, I'm always hesitant when it comes to certain rule changes or like homebrews, because I'm like, that sounds like more work for me, and that doesn't sound like fun. But you know, I also feel like it's somewhere where people can get opinions on rules and figure some stuff out. I learn rules all the time. I get corrected on rules all the time. I learned earlier, I was talking to Alex, that cover applies all the time. I didn't know lesser and standard cover were just states of positioning rather than needing to take the take cover action, which is what I assumed you needed to get those benefits. Nope, that just upgrades your cover from typically standard to greater.
Which is very good to know, especially if we're going to have to deal with guns.
Though, Flameloud is right. If I am talking about the difference of 5e rules and bitching about that, I will do that all day. No remorse. Nah, I'm not.
Go into 5e.
Just
rip it apart.
Just for the catharsis. Legitimately, 5e is a good game. I'll say this straight out. It's a really good game, super smooth. If you want to run D&D for the first time, I actually recommend 5e, because being a GM in 5e is very simple. You can focus on what makes a good DM, which is understanding the rules, getting a good sense of intuition when it comes to GMing, all that kind of stuff. I think 5e is really good. I think Pathfinder 2e is a funner game overall, but John, Wizards of the Coast, needs to step up their game. Alex, you've started a terrible trend.
Yes!
But 5e is really good if you have a high narrative focus and you just want to play the game.
I will say, like, the vibe I think I at least have for it is I won't turn down a game of 5e, but if I hear someone's doing a Pathfinder game, I get excited.
I'll put it like this. I'm in a 5e game. I'm playing a 5e character right now. But if someone was like, hey, I want to run a Pathfinder game on Saturdays, do you want to get in? I would probably leave that game to play Pathfinder.
Damn.
I love Vale. I really do. But Pathfinder is such a better game. I know I'd get more enjoyment out of it. It has nothing to do with Vale's gaming style, GM style, nothing. Literally, it's purely... I like the system enough to make that call. So. Alright, well, I gotta get going because I have a video to film after this. I could not film it yesterday because I was reading the book all damn day.
Fair.
So I could, and like once I was done reading the book, which took me 8 hours, I had to like sit down and play Enter the Gungeon to just unwind and not think for a bit.
I like that you picked Enter the Gungeon as your unwind game. To be fair, I do the same thing, but good lord, that game is very hard.
It's a very hard game. I'm still getting stuck on Chamber
2.
4.
Oh, 4. Oh, shit.
No, I got past Chamber 2 like on my second try.
Nice.
I did get one very broken build that almost took me all the way through the Gungeon, though.
That's fair. Normally, I've the vibe of, and like at least my experience and things I've heard is floor 2 is the rookie check. That is like the skill check of like, all right, get past this. This is what the game is.
Yeah, it's not that hard. I beat it second try, not too big a deal. I now get reliably to Chamber 4 or 5.
Fair.
Also, Slug, actually, coincidentally, Lycans don't take attack damage from non-silver weapons. So there you go. Fall damage is not considered an attack. Anywho, thank you all so much for being here. If you've enjoyed, please follow like some people have done today, or subscribe like some other people have done today to see more amazing content like this. We do our table talk every Thursday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We typically go a little bit over since YouTube's a bit behind. Unfortunate, but you know, that's how it is. It also helps motivate me to keep going. We're now at 105 subscribers. I anticipate by next year, when we're having our next year video, I'll be between 500 and 1,000, somewhere in there.
Hell yeah.
I'm very excited for that. The videos have been getting a lot of traction lately and have been doing really, really well. And I've only been able to do this because of you all. People are here in the chat now because people like Slug or Flame Loud are hopping in, chatting up, talking. People want to come in and participate in a chat. So it really helps out. Also, if you want to join our community, in the description or down below on Twitch, you can join us at my Discord, where we talk about gaming. We also have a Warhammer section if you're into Warhammer. And also, I always recruit from my Discord first whenever I'm doing my short-term campaigns, which the next one is starting this Friday, tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time, Shadows That Laugh, where we're doing a game in the Moanga Expanse, where we're going to be dealing with jungles, dangerous beasts, demons, and horny orcs. So I'm excited, and I can't wait for the next one already. I think the next game I'm going to run is a level 5 Mana Waste campaign.
Hell yeah.
I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and maybe we'll see some return characters. You know, it would be the time to see. So I haven't fully decided on that, but I think it's going to be a really, really fun one. With that, we're going to say goodbye. Say goodbye, Alex, and we'll all see you next time.
Goodbye, Alex.
God damn it. I did. I've been so good about that lately, too.
God,
and then
slipped.
I'm getting old. Good night.
Good night.